If NBA players went on strike and the NBA regular season was delayed or canceled, it could have a devastating impact on the future of the league. But if the WNBA season is canceled, no one is going to care.
The WNBA is on the brink of collapse, and Angel Reese may have just lit the fuse. While the league is seeing unprecedented growth with Caitlin Clark drawing record crowds, Reese and other players are threatening a work stoppage that could undo everything they've built.
We deserve more. Everybody.
I agree.
Everybody.
I agree with that. You need to come to the
I
meeting.
gotta get in the meetings because I'm hearing like, yeah, they don't give us, if y'all don't give us what we want, like, we sitting out.
That's a possibility.
What many players might not realize is that the NBA owns 60% of the WNBA and has been covering its financial losses for years. If the players decide to boycott, it's the NBA and its owners who actually save money, while the players lose their income. They believe they have leverage, but they're about to face a tough reality check that could seriously threaten the future of women's pro basketball.
This year, something seems to be off. There seems to be a lot of tension in the WNBA. The offseason has been filled with fear and uncertainty, threats. There are serious concerns that the 2025 season could be the final season of pretend basketball for a while.
Ever wonder why the WNBA hasn't turned a profit in nearly 30 years? Here's the hard truth. The league has been losing money every year since it launched in 1996. And this isn't a minor issue. It's a serious financial struggle that puts the future of women's pro basketball in the U.S. at risk.
Unfortunately, we are not living in a perfect world. Matter of fact, we live in a society that has been plagued with the disease of entitlement. We live in a society that expects instant gratification. We have been conditioned to believe that all you have to do is work hard and you're entitled to success.
Players like Angel Reese are asking for higher salaries, but the league's revenue just isn't there to support it. As a rookie, Reese earns around $75,000 a year and wants more, but the math doesn't work out. The WNBA Players Association keeps pushing for better pay, improved working conditions, and expanded health benefits. But the big question remains, where's the money going to come from?
The truth is, hard work does not always pay off. In the business of entertainment, hard work is only half the battle. In order for that hard work to pay off, you have to convince people to watch the end result of your hard work.
You might be thinking the new media deal will fix everything. Sure, $2.2 billion over 10 years sounds huge, but now stack that against the NBA's $70 billion deal over the same stretch. That's not just a gap, it's a massive divide. In fact, the WNBA's entire 10-year deal is worth less than what the NBA pulls in from just one season.
Their deal is a $2.2 billion media rights deal for 10 years. All right? The NBA is over $70 billion for 10 years. Well, that's why you got these ridiculous salaries in the National Basketball Association.
It's hard to believe, but that's the reality. NBA owners have been covering the WNBA's losses for decades, essentially keeping women's basketball alive through what's basically charity. Without the NBA's financial backing, there wouldn't be a professional women's basketball league in the U.S. And that's the uncomfortable truth no one likes to acknowledge.
And for everyone in the WNBA not named Caitlin Clark, their hard work is meaningless because no one is paying to see the end result. Yet for some reason, WNBA players believe that they have the leverage to demand more money.
What happens when players demand more money from a league that's already losing cash? It's like asking a friend who's broke to buy you a new car. It just doesn't add up. Most people don't realize the NBA owns 60% of the WNBA, which means Adam Silver and the NBA owners hold the real power. They're the ones who decide if the league keeps running.
Now, if this league is looking for NBA kind of salary, they might as well close the doors. It's never going to happen. All right? The money is just not there.
The gap between what players want and what the league can actually afford isn't just big. It may be impossible to close right now. This isn't about fairness or equality. It's about simple economics. The WNBA hasn't made a profit in nearly 30 years, which makes the players' demand for NBA-level salaries financially unfeasible at this point.
Current minimum wage salaries, much less potential million-dollar annual contracts.
So if the Yutsu league isn't making money, who really holds the power here? It's not Angel Reese or any player threatening a boycott. Let's take a look at who's holding all the cards in this high-stakes game that could decide whether the WNBA even has a future.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they will do that. Keep perspective. If they overvalue themselves, it would be the death of the WNBA.
What's crazy is that games featuring Caitlin Clark are pulling in 1.2 to 2 million viewers, while games without her barely reach 400,000. That's not just a small difference, it's a game changer for the entire league. The WNBA is seeing numbers they've never seen before, but it's not because every player suddenly got better, it's mainly because of one rookie who turned everything around.
Let's just briefly go over what WNBA players have done to actually earn a raise. Last season, games involving Caitlin Clark averaged 1.2 million viewers. Nationally televised games without Caitlin Clark, 394,000.
Angel Reese and other players might think they're leading this new wave of popularity, but the numbers tell a different story. The hard truth? It's the Caitlin Clark effect. The Indiana Fever went from playing in empty arenas to selling out every game overnight. And it wasn't because the team suddenly turned things around. It was all because Caitlin Clark stepped.
You know, a lot of people say that Caitlin Clark moves the needle. That is wrong. She is the needle. She dictates. We all know what she's done on the floor. It's history, right? But off the floor, my goodness.
Have you noticed the spike in ticket prices? WNBA tickets on the secondary market have surged by 400% for games featuring Caitlin Clark. 400%. Meanwhile, other games still struggle to fill seats. The truth is, people aren't paying to see the WNBA. They're paying to watch Caitlin Clark play.
This is going to be history. It's like what I told her. That's pretty epic that we get to watch her, you know, because not a lot of games here in Dallas with somebody that big of a star.
Television networks are doing something they've never done before in WNBA history. They're specifically requesting Fever games for primetime slots. TV executives know exactly what draws viewers. And right now, that's Caitlin Clark. They're putting her games in the spotlight because that's what people want to see.
I told you guys last year, when WNBA players and their pretend friends in the mainstream media were ostracizing and demonizing Caitlin Clark, I told you guys they would use Caitlin Clark as leverage to justify increases in their minimum wage.
You might be wondering, what happens if Clark gets injured or decides not to cross a picket line during a work stoppage? The entire house of cards could collapse. All those viewers, gone. All those sellout crowds, vanished. The players threatening a boycott are essentially risking the one asset that's actually bringing value to the league.
The executive director of the Players Union said recently, "There is no better time than right now for women's sports. We are seizing that opportunity." Translation, we need to take advantage of the drawing power of Caitlin Clark while she still has it.
The WNBA's only real bargaining chip is Caitlin Clark's ability to draw 1.2 million viewers, and a boycott would take that leverage away. Without Clark on the court, the league goes back to struggling for attention and fighting for every viewer. But the players seem to think they're in a position of power, believing they can make demands and that the league will cave.
Dump. In the dump, everyone not named Caitlin Clark is overpaid. Angel Reese makes around $80,000 a year, overpaid. AJ Wilson making $200,000 a year, severely overpaid.
What do you think would happen if Angel Reese and other players actually go through with their boycott? Threat? The answer might surprise you. Angel Reese recently said players might sit out if they don't get what they want, but she's overlooking something crucial about who really holds the power here. She thinks she's making a threat, but she's actually handing the NBA a gift.
Nonetheless, it's like their union director is also now talking about a work stoppage. The same thing Angel Reese said during her podcast, threatening, we'll go on strike.
If WNBA players go on boycott, the NBA and the private equity owners who cover the league's losses would actually save money by not having a season. That's right. The people who control the league's future would financially benefit if players refuse to play. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver isn't concerned about these threats. He knows the financial math works entirely in his favor if the players choose not to show up.
WNBA players don't have any leverage, but there is a subset to that problem, and the subset is the real problem. The real problem is WNBA players don't realize they don't have any leverage.
But there's a deeper issue here, and that's the real problem. WNBA players don't realize they have no leverage. Think about what happens to the players in this situation. Athletes making $75,000 a year would suddenly have zero income, while billionaire NBA owners would just shift their WNBA subsidies to other ventures. The owners don't rely on WNBA games to make money. They've got plenty of other profitable businesses. But most WNBA players depend on those paychecks to cover their bills.